universo é fazer um prédio que tenha uma responsabilidade com o ambiente onde está inserido, né? Então ele tem que ser eficiente economicamente, ou seja, ele vai consumir menos energia, menos água, não vai gerar problemas internos por desrespeito às condições naturais externas. E o somatório desses pequenos inputs, essas variáveis, que não são pequenas, não são grandes, é que vai te dar um prédio eficiente, que é facilmente certificável. Mas se você não parte de um prédio que é naturalmente projetado para ser um prédio eficiente, você muito dificilmente vai conseguir lá na ponta, mediante, digamos assim, fortes investimentos em melhorias, com um prédio certificável. Por quê? Porque eu acho que tem que ter um certo DNA no projeto.
Well, I saw Faria Lima and I said, this is very boring. The way the street, all the buildings, they look the same going up and down. We need to do something to make this building look a little bit different. So I had the idea to turn the building to make a point to face Faria Lima instead of having a flat facade to face Faria Lima. Architecture today is going in many directions. First of all, we have a lot of people, and for good reasons, they want to have more sustainable building. So, and I think this is good for our planet, and it's a good thing to reduce the use of our resources. So I think this is probably the most important thing happening in architecture, besides interesting design and so on. But I think that this is something that affects, and every building should somehow respond to this the new requirement to reduce the consumption of human beings on this planet. I don't think that architecture can change the world all by itself, but buildings by themselves consume, I don't know what the percentage, but it's quite a considerable proportion of the resources, energy and so on, of our planet. But you know, you have all the old buildings, so you can't change all of those. I mean, you can improve them a little bit, but not nearly making the same improvement as the new buildings. In all architecture, I think that proportion is still very important. People don't understand this. You know, you can take certain buildings, and if it's like if you take your televisions and you make a widescreen, and all of a sudden everybody looks too fat. There's something wrong with that. So that you need to have, every building has to have its own proper proportion, and certain numbers and things like that. There's not like magical numbers, but in terms of I think the visual stability, it's very important to have. So that's why the building itself is not 28 floors, but because the top of the building, we are hiding a lot of the equipment, the building equipment and so on. It looks like it's 28, and 28 I thought was a good number. And also, you know, by breaking the building into more pieces, more facets, we have 6 sides of the building as you go up. It makes the building feel taller. You know, if you just have a same size of building, but it's a square building or a rectangular building, it doesn't look so tall if it just goes straight up and stop like this. So I think that, you know, this is a kind of an elegance that will make the building stand out, even though it's the same height as every other building, because on Faria Lima, because you have a height limit, so you cannot go higher.
Well, I would like to, I'm sorry, I cannot speak Portuguese, so I have to speak to you in English. First of all, I would like to thank Raphael for organizing this event. To be honest, this project has taken a long time, and has been a long time since I've been here in Sao Paulo. So to come here and to see the building finished is really so rewarding for me. So and I know it's because of all the efforts of Raphael. You know, I was when Raphael first. I don't have any particular presentation for you, because if you have questions afterwards, I think that's a better forum for me. But I was, when Raphael came to see me, whatever it was 10 or more years ago, and I didn't know who is Raphael Beerman. And so, you know, like any a responsible architect, I have to ask some people that I know and look around and try to find out who is Raphael Beerman. And I found out at that time that he was one of the most important developers of Sao Paulo. But I also found out that he had recently, at that time, had some difficulties. So, I must say, when he talked about the whale, and he talked about Jonah coming out of the whale, and the rebirth of Jonah, I could not help but thinking that, and I hope it's the case, that this project actually represents the rebirth of Raphael Beerman. And so I want to first say that I hope that, because I understand the project is a successful project, and the building is fully rented already at a very good price. So this hopefully will give Raphael opportunity and the financial leverage to continue to do more projects like this one. Now, when I first came to Sao Paulo, and I was driven up and down Faria Lima, and I said, and I was told that this is the most important financial street of Sao Paulo. And I started to look at all the buildings. And I said, they all look the same. If we have to do something, particularly because Raphael had found the most important, the biggest site available on Faria Lima, I said, we have to do something that will make this building different. But at the same time, it had to meet Raphael's very strict requirement. Very large floor plate, more than 2,000 square meters, as I remember, per floor, is the standard for Sao Paulo. So, and of course there's a height limit on Faria Lima because it's on the flight path to the airport. So we had to come, and maybe that explains, by the way, why all the buildings on Faria Lima look the same. Because they have so many difficult constraints, architectural constraints, that there's no ability to do anything different. So all the buildings that I saw all had just one rectangular facade after the next, all the way up and down the street. And I said, maybe we can have something that comes out, to a point instead, to give more views up and down the street of Faria Lima, but also to make the building to be different. So that was that's really, and then I must say, I should say here that, as for all of our projects, we are a small office, but we have the ability to bring the best teams to work. And I had, at that time, of course, in my office, Steve Achilles, who had done, 40 office buildings when he was working with Philip Johnson and Gerald Hines, the developer. So, and he knew everything about how to develop the core of the building, all these kind of things. And I also had a young German designer, Andreas Simitz, who shared my concern for the precision of the geometry of this building. I think if you look at the building, you will see it is geometrically a very precise building. And so I had a really, really good team. And we just loved to work on this project with Raphael, even though we are in New York, and he's in Sao Paulo, but he came up to New York. Anyway, I think that we all had a really good time. And even though it took a long time to get to the end, we're now there, and that's what really counts. It's one of the things that I tell the people in my office. If you're an architect, the most difficult thing to do is to get the building built. We all do, we think we do wonderful designs, but so few of them actually get built. So I said the real mark of an architect, and I think even for a developer will share the same thing, is to get the building built. So even though this one took a long time, we did get it built. And so it goes and it becomes part of what we leave behind. Leaving behind beautiful drawings and models is only satisfying a little bit. But leaving behind a real finished building, I don't think there's any comparison for that. So with that, I think that I have to really thank the tenacity of Raphael. I always tell the people in my office, if you want to be an architect, you have to have two things. You have to be patient, and you have to be an optimist. So anybody here who is an architect thinking about what it is to be an architect, I think they will, if they're already an architect, they know exactly what I'm saying. If they're not, then I think that you have to, that's the one lesson that I would say is really shown in this particular project, that a lot of patience, and we're here. And I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Raphael, for the opportunity for us to join this fantastic team to work on this project. And thank you all for coming and giving me a chance to participate in discussion, which is very close to my heart. I am an urban landscape architect, so the whole subject of public open space and the public realm and private-public partnerships that contribute to some of our best public open spaces you can always get me to talk to you about that. So, but I was asked to put a PowerPoint presentation together, so I feel a little strange that Dee Dee didn't, but Dee Dee is better known than I am. So I guess my people said, well, they have to tell you, they have to show you, you have to show them, tell them who you are. So first I have to know how to advance this. Could I get some technical, oh, there, I'm in motion. Okay, so who are we? We are SWA Balsley, and when Raphael hired us, we were Thomas Balsley Associates, and we had been practicing in New York City for 50 years, but we are now SWA Balsley, and we have 9 studios around the world, none in South America, so let's talk about that later. And we do work everywhere around the world. And our work, again, is in landscape architecture, urban design, and planning. My specialty is in urban open space. And these are our core values that that stand behind us and guide us as we do all of our projects, regardless of their scale or place. These are the leaders. Like Sao Paulo, New York City had its challenging moments. I came to New York City in 1969, and it was the 1970s, and the cities were burning, and it was all chaos and no order. And to talk about public open space then was to talk about the worst of our social ills were all found in those open spaces. No one wanted a bench in a park. It was that bad. So over the years, that's where I've focused my attention, and I've built a certain reputation for having a perspective on that subject that Raphael found interesting. And these are just some of those bonus plazas. These are the kind of spaces that are within 3 blocks of where you work or live. These are the spaces that touch our daily lives. Not the destination spaces you hear about, the Central Parks, the High Line, the waterfront parks. Those are destination spaces. These are right around the corner from where you are, and they have that chance to touch millions of lives. And so I'm so proud to have been part of them in New York and to bring that expertise and knowledge to Sao Paulo. Next. The success of these spaces, and we can talk about this later too, has to do with the public seating. This is the big thing, because our spaces, for them to be successful, we're not creating pretty spaces, we're creating spaces that are theater, outdoor theater, spaces for humans to meet each other, connect with each other, and public seating is critical to that success. Next. I've never designed a bench like that, but maybe in the future. Next, please. These are just some images of some public seating beyond the bench, as we say. Next, please. And just the idea of designing public seating beyond the bench. If you just thought about what space in your home do you feel most comfortable in, aside from your bedroom? It might be your family room. And what is it in your family room that makes you feel so comfortable? Is it that coffee table that you can do almost anything on? Sit on it, put your feet up on it, put your drink, your coffee on it maybe? So we introduced this idea of the coffee table in a public space. All it is an object, but look how many ways it can expand the notion of public seating and foster these social interactions. From, that's my family on the upper left, to in the middle, a family giving their thanks to anyone who came into the park for the treatment their mother was receiving at the cancer clinic in Cleveland, to the gentleman on the right just wants to put his feet up and relax. This is a new park we've just completed in New York, across from the United Nations it's called Hunters Point South Park. It's an extraordinary park. In fact, the city of Rotterdam has come and invited us to design a new park in downtown Rotterdam inspired by this park. This is a new public-private partnership that we're doing in Moscow across from the historic train station, where we're building a retail mall below and then putting on as a cap a new urban park for this part of Moscow. It's just being completed. We're having an opening next month. Next. And then this is that park in Rotterdam. Early on, it's going to be called Nelson Mandela Park for the neighborhood surrounding it. As I mentioned, this is not just about a plaza. Raphael and I spent hours and days practically talking about what this space could mean beyond just being a plaza or a foreground to this wonderful tower or the theater. It really is that space for outdoor theater to erupt, a space that's designed for any number of possibilities for your enjoyment, for either your enjoyment to be alone or be with others. It's a space that can be totally flexible so that you could just turn the fountain off and move the furniture, and suddenly you have a tremendous space for outdoor events that coincides with those events in the theater itself. It's a long list, programmatic list, and these are just some of the sketches that we did exploring these possibilities with Raphael. The sculpture, the way it all began, from conversations with Raphael to crazy sketches, to beginning to think about, okay, how could we actually build this sculpture? And then, next. This is it. Obrigado.
Como a gente viu nesses vídeos todos, nós tentamos contar um pouco da história, do que foi o desenvolvimento desse prédio. Foi um processo muito difícil, cheio de desafios, Desafios que eram, na época que a gente viveu eles, eram quase que, nos pareciam insuperáveis. E, pouco a pouco, apesar de um tempo extremamente longo, eles foram sendo superados, sendo vencidos. E até um momento que a gente chegou em 2020 o prédio estava pronto. E, na verdade, quando o prédio ficou pronto, a gente ficou até surpreso, porque o prédio saiu, eu não sei se eu posso dizer melhor do que a gente esperava, ou além das expectativas. Mas, na verdade, como foi o fruto do trabalho de N equipes e todas se dedicavam, e na verdade não era um trabalho de um ou de outro, mas assim de uma constelação de gente trabalhando, eu acho que ele saiu, nenhum de nós imaginava tudo o que ele seria. E é com grande satisfação que a gente viu aquilo pronto, o prédio com aquelas especificações técnicas que poucos têm, o teatro com essa qualidade tanto acústica como cênica, como de espaço, de uso para eventos tanto corporativos como artísticos, algo que foi recebido por todos na cidade, pelo meio artístico, com muita aceitação. Então, todos nós somos surpreendidos. E isso foi uma grande satisfação e deu à nossa luta um sentido. A gente lutou, foi difícil, chegou no fim e foi recompensado. Que é uma espécie de justiça que ela acontece às vezes. Eu não sei o que caberia destacar mais. Se a parte técnica das instalações, que são, como disse o Zé Maria da Rede Incule, dificilmente o inquilino vai saber avaliar tudo que foi investido na parte técnica do prédio, tudo que ele tem de capacitação técnica, mas ele realmente é o único nesse sentido. Então, isso foi uma coisa excepcional. Não sei se a qualidade da fachada, que era de vidro insulado, que era excepcional e única também, não sei se os elevadores rápidos, se o granito, que era de espessura inédita no Brasil, de 6 a 8 centímetros. Mas tudo isso somado foi dando uma textura e uma configuração, como se fosse uma tela. Uma corzinha aqui, uma corzinha ali, no final tu tem uma obra de arte. Claro que eu sou suspeito para falar, sendo que eu participei desde o começo do projeto, mas é uma experiência muito interessante e eu acho que valeu a pena. Acho que hoje está aqui, o prédio está entregue para a cidade, tanto no teatro como no prédio, como na praça, que ela é usada por todo mundo no horário do almoço, ela é um ponto já de congregação, como na Baleia, que é uma referência urbana. As pessoas, vamos se encontrar na Baleia, ou vamos andar de bicicleta até a Baleia, quem chegar na Baleia. Então, são coisas que estão ainda estamos arrumando, o interessante nesse conceito de ter um prédio que ele não é vendido, ele permanece, é uma obra que continua, a gente continua fazendo ajustes, ajustando, melhorando aqui, melhorando ali, e isso tudo, enfim, é uma obra. A história foi um desafio, foi uma obra que tinha que ser obsessivo como o Capitão Ahab para perseguir aquele objetivo. Tivemos que nos reinventar como o Jonas da Bíblia, buscando uma cidade mais humana, como o Pinóquio, também na história da baleia, e buscando fazer um prédio sustentável, como são as baleias em toda a história que elas tiveram, aquela história da Salve as Baleias, que elas viraram o símbolo da sustentabilidade. Então, eu acho que nada mais justo de eu dizer no final que essa obra só existe porque teve um time fantástico, todo mundo comprou o sonho, comprou o desafio, perseguiu com com obsessão ele, e fez jus, isso raramente acontece, e fez jus a esse nosso lema, que é o lema do projeto, que é por uma cidade melhor. Acho que a gente fez um negócio fantástico. Todos nós estamos todos de parabéns. Está de parabéns São Paulo, que recebeu esse presente. Então é isso. Muito obrigado.